Today on Mr. Media, I'll talk to Corey Michael Blake, CEO of Roundtable Companies, which is adapting popular business books, such as Wired magazine editor Chris Anderson's The Long Tail, to graphic novels. Stick around. Those drugstore spinner racks have never been so damn smart.
Hey, did you know that you can listen to the latest Mr. Media on your phone with the Stitcher app? Stitcher is smart radio for your smartphone. Mr. Media is on demand and on the go with Stitcher. Download Stitcher for your phone today. Get the free download at Stitcher.com. That's STITCHER.com.
So much media, so little time. Who keeps track of it all? That would be me. This is Bob Andelman, and this is a Mr. Media interview. You know, MrMedia.com, MRMedia.com. Stop by and check it out. There are more than 700 archived celebrity interviews for your listening pleasure. The show is brought to you today by Audible. Audible is offering Mr. Media listeners a free audiobook download with a free 14-day trial to give you a chance to check out their amazing service. You can choose a free audiobook from Audible's library of tens of thousands of titles, including today's top bestsellers, such as The Lincoln Lawyer by Michael Connelly, Tina Fey's Bossy Pants, or even Genie Out of the Bottle by Barbara Eden. You could even download the biography of comic book and graphic novel legend Will Eisner, A Spirited Life. I wrote and read that one. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/radio. Again, that's audibletrial.com/radio for your free audiobook. Mr. Media is recorded live before a studio audience of 47-year-old fanboys who could really stand to take a bath and develop some practical business skills besides knowing how many comics fit snugly in a long box in the new media capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida. It's been a while since business writer Daniel Pink was a guest on Mr. Media to talk about his first graphic novel, Johnny Bunko, The Last Career Guide You'll Ever Need. That book was intended for an audience of job seekers who lacked some basic skills needed to succeed in the modern workplace. There were also people who weren't likely to buy and read Pink's nonfiction, pictureless narratives, such as A Whole New Mind or Free Agent Nation. Apparently, Pink was onto something. Johnny Bunko has since been translated into 14 different languages. Now a company called Roundtable is working with SmarterComics to turn Pink's one-off project into an industry. It has produced graphic novels from 6 respected, best-selling business experts and is marketing them to an audience unlikely to read 300 pages of text, but probably willing to invest the time and effort into a 50-page comic book full of immediately useful information told in an entertaining fashion. At the top of the list of SmarterComics' initial release this April 2011 is The Long Tail by Wired magazine editor Chris Anderson. Also noteworthy is an adaptation of the 2,500-year-old The Art of War by Sun Tzu. It's a classic battle plan for success found on the shelf of every modern CEO. Now, I got to add here, I don't know that every one of them has read it, but everyone I've met has a copy. You can usually tell which ones have read it and which ones haven't. Now, I know a little about educational comics myself, having written the biography of Will Eisner, who started the whole genre back in World War II with Army Motors. So I thought it'd be interesting to have Roundtable CEO Corey Michael Blake on the show to talk about his new enterprise. Corey, welcome to Mr. Media.
Thanks so much, Bob. I appreciate the opportunity.
My pleasure. Boy, it seems like it took us a long time to get to this point, doesn't it?
That's all right, man. We're here and that's what counts.
Old fumble lips here. So what inspired you to do a whole line of business-oriented graphic novels?
I've been a long-time storyteller. I was an actor out in Los Angeles, and I was working in commercials, the 30-second story, and was a huge fan of the ability to persuade and motivate people through storytelling. So I started getting hired by authors who weren't necessarily great writers themselves, but had a story to share and needed some guidance in the process. And I started working with an executive coach on a business book, and she wanted to deliver it using a character-driven story. And it's kind of, most business people are familiar with Five Dysfunctions of a Team, Patrick Lencioni's best-selling book. It uses a fable to get across great business principles. So we took that and we elevated it to a whole different level by using a really intense character-driven narrative about how a CEO really gets picked up by the bootstraps and is forced to change himself in order to change his company. And it worked, and it was such an exciting journey to create that. And at that point, I said, at some point, a business leader, an expert, is really going to need to have some gusto and put together a graphic novel version just as a different way to communicate with people. So we had this idea back in 2009. At that point, financially, we were not in a position to really dive into this whole medium. But then again, later in 2010, every year I ask my staff, what is it that we're not doing that you wish we were? And Nathan Brown, our creative director, he said, get us into comic books. Huge comic book fan his whole life. He's got a huge library in his place. And so we went on the lookout, and we came across SmarterComics founder Franco Arda, who had a similar idea. And he had been a former investment banker with Deutsche Bank. He had some fun money. He wanted to do something creative and was a huge lover of business books. And so he invested in us producing 3 prototypes to prove that this could work. We looked at them. We were so excited after demonstrating to ourselves that this actually had some legs to stand on. And then we became joint investors in these first 6 books.
Now, is it more difficult to adapt an existing book like Chris Anderson's The Long Tail versus having someone write specifically for this format?
For us, it's actually not, because someone like a Chris Anderson might have spent a year or 2 years really crafting that narrative, and then we can summarize it down to its PowerPoint version, essentially. So because they've put in so much time, it's easy for us to crystallize that message and then build it out in illustration. Our scripting process is only a month long. So if you actually have to create the original content, I think we're probably, we're actually starting to do that with some content. It's more of a 6 to 9 months or even a year to create the script before the illustrators get involved.
Now, tell me about getting Chris Anderson involved. I'm guessing, as someone who's been reading Wired all the way back to the beginning, I know that they've always had a soft spot for comics and graphic novels. They frequently feature things that may not have any real connection to the Wired audience, but someone on the staff there just seems to think it's cool. Did that help? Getting Anderson, or how did that relationship develop?
It still blows my mind to this day how it happened. I wrote him an email. I found his email on Google. A lot of us are good at finding people's contact information, and I found a personal email address for him. I said, hey, we're interested in taking your book, The Long Tail, and introducing it to busy professionals, the Twitter generation, and comic book fans. In 24 hours, I got an email back that said, that sounds really cool. Let's talk to my agent.
Wow.
It was that easy. I'm sure you get a lot of ideas across your desk, too. I get a lot of ideas that are not so succinctly put that people, when I pitched this, Larry Wingett, too, Doc Elliott, all the people that we went to, they get it really quick. And everyone wants to reach this new generation, so it's a very easy sell. We originally approached about 20 authors, and these are the first 6 that jumped on real fast. And Chris Anderson was one of those that it just hit his sweet spot. It was something he was interested in. He loves being an innovator, and this cues him in to be one of the first to do something new like this. And he's a comic book fan, so it was an easy no-brainer for him.
And he is a comic book fan. Yes, there it is.
Oh, absolutely. So somebody who, like Larry Wingett, he loved the idea, not necessarily because he was a huge comic book fan, but because he always loved the idea of being a superhero. And that appeals to a lot of people. Who doesn't want to throw on a cape? And even if you're getting across business and life principles, you feel cool by being in a comic book. It's a lot of fun.
I actually took my cape off to do the interview, but I will be putting it on as soon as we're done.
Don't think I don't see it in the background over there.
Now, so you get a Chris Anderson involved. Let's stick with him because someone's got the name recognition. Now, I know from writing books that usually once I sell the rights, they're gone. If somebody buys the rights to do a TV show or film rights from something I've written, that's it. They may humor me by saying, here's what we've come up with, but it's really out of my hands. Does Chris or any of your authors have anything to do with it once you acquire the rights to their book?
Yeah, we don't work like some of those traditional other entities where you take it and run, and especially because we're launching an entirely new platform. It's really important that the people that we're working with help to promote it. So the best way to do that is to keep them involved and keep them excited about the product. And, when you take them along the creative journey by including them in all of the decision-making and giving them approvals, at the end of the day, it's something they can be proud of. And that's something I learned way back as a filmmaker in Los Angeles. If you take care of the team that is creating the product, then everyone will enjoy the process of then taking it to market. If you ignore them throughout the process, then they're going to wish you the best of luck and hope you do something cool with it, but probably be far less involved in getting it out there. So it's an important part of our business model to keep them as involved as they want to be.
Very good. Well, Corey, let's take a quick break. This
Sure.
is Bob Andelman, and you're listening to and hopefully watching, in some places, the Mr. Media interview with Corey Michael Blake, CEO of Roundtable Companies, publisher of graphic novel editions of business classics From the Art of War to the Long Tail. We'll be right back.
Mr. Clean gets rid of dirt and grime and grease in just a minute.
Mr. Clean will clean your whole house and everything that's in it.
Floors, doors, walls, halls, white sidewalls, tires, and old golf balls.
Sinks, stoves, bathtubs he'll do. He'll even help clean laundry too.
Mr. Clean gets rid of dirt and grime and grease in just a minute.
Mr. Clean will clean your whole house and everything that's in it.
Can he clean a kitchen sink?
Quicker than a wink.
Can he clean a window sash?
Faster than a flash.
Can he clean a dirty mirror?
He'll make it bright and clear.
Can he clean a diamond ring?
Mr. Clean cleans anything.
Mr. Clean gets rid of dirt and grime and grease in just a minute. Mr. Clean will clean your whole house and everything that's in it. Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Hi, this is Joe Murray, creator of Rocco's Modern Life in Camp Laszlo. You're listening to Mr. Media.
This is Bob Andelman, and you're listening to and hopefully watching the Mr. Media interview with Corey Michael Blake, CEO of Roundtable Companies and publisher of graphic novel editions of business classics From the Art of War to the Long Tail. Corey, we were talking during the break, and I know you've got a special offer coming up to kind of introduce people to your product online. Is that right?
That's correct. People can go to roundtablecompanies.com or SmarterComics.com, and they can actually check out the majority of these graphic novels at no cost for the next about 83 days. So it started April 1st, and they'll be available for 90 days. So we believe that there's a huge market here, and it's, of course, important that we expose people to it. So it's kind of our gift to introduce people to what we're doing.
It sounds like a real good idea to do that. And it fit into something I wanted to ask you about, because I imagine that the market for something like this might be a bit limited at first, particularly getting over prejudices against comics and educational comics at that.
It's definitely got its challenges, but we've every step of the way we feel like we've had a number of miracles that have gone in our favor. Certainly, getting people like Chris Anderson, Larry Wingett, Tom Hopkins aboard was a miracle unto itself. Getting permission from the publishers to give us their blessing to go ahead and do it has been incredible. The printed books will be available at Hudson News Airport bookstores starting May 1st, which is a huge market and billboard for us. And then, of course, through chain and independent bookstores, Indigo Canada signed on. So people are coming aboard. Barnes & Noble to date is kind of taking a wait-and-see approach, which, of course, doesn't make me that happy. But I understand because it's a new concept, when you're dealing with large corporations, it's just the way that they work. Some of them will take the risk and dive in, and others will kind of sit back. We are starting to get some really great responses from comic book stores, really a lot of enthusiasm and curiosity. We've sent out to probably 250 stores free samples that they can check out, let the owners see it, let them show it to their customer base, and we're starting to get pre-orders trickling in now, which is awesome.
Corey, how many copies do you have to sell per title to feel like you're going to succeed at this, or can you talk about that?
Oh, sure. Our initial goal, we've done our print runs are about 10,000 of each. So that, moving those will be a clear indicator that there is a market for these. And so far in pre-sales, we're doing great. We're over half that already. So, and we don't officially launch until the 16th of April here. So, we're doing great in that regard. I think, ultimately, in order to be a profitable venture, we're looking to move about 30,000 of each. And we have a number of different channels to push those into. Obviously, the comic book market, the trade market. Hudson News is a great player for us. These are the kind of books that hopefully corporations are going to grab. They're great training pieces if you want to inspire leaders within your company, or even gift. I could certainly see a prominent banking institution buying a number of How to Master the Art of Selling and giving them away to new business checking clients. Like that kind of, this is a really fun giveaway for the right kind of company as a marketing tool.
Well, that kind of feeds into what I was going to ask you. I'm wondering, is this product intended for the crowd at Comic-Con in San Diego, or is this intended for, I don't know, the freshman class at Harvard?
You know what? Our hope is certainly that it's for both. We recognize that the comic book market is its own breed that we really have to work hard to cater to. Like I said, we're getting a lot of fair attention for it. We're getting some good media in the comic book world, and we're getting the curiosity of the owners of the retail shops. But at the same time, these are not escape books. These aren't pure entertainment that you run away with. This is using entertainment to inform, educate, and inspire. So it's certainly not going to be for everybody. But our hope is that we drive, the anywhere from 25 to 55-year-old guy who used to love comic books as a kid, but for some reason or other just hasn't gone back to the comic book shop. This gives them a different kind of a reason to. So we're certainly hoping to drive new traffic to comic book stores.
And tell me about the way you run your company. Is it more the art of war or the long tail?
That's funny. It's kind of a combination of both. You certainly can't be all art of war these days. We're a very friendly company. We believe in inspirational core values, and we believe in like the story I told you earlier about going to my team and saying, what do you want to do that we're not doing? And that led to this wonderful new venture that we're on when our creative director said, get us into comic books. So we believe in supporting the people who work within our organization and their ideas, and it gives them ownership. Our creative director is having a blast working on these. It's changed his quality of life because he's enjoying the process so much. So we work very much from the standpoint of take care of your people and they'll take care of your product.
Speaking of the product, how do you balance converting business text, not textbooks, but business narratives to comics format and not making the resultant product look, a little dopey or cheap? And how important in that is choosing the right artist to make the adaptation?
I think it's hugely important. For every artist that we've ended up hiring, we've probably talked with or tested out maybe 20 different people. And it's not just about their talent. It's also about their ability as business people. We need people who communicate well, who are expedient, who can meet deadlines. And we've started off as a writing company. We faced the same kind of challenges when we were working with writers. Whenever you're working with creative people, there are always your flakes, and there are always people who may be incredibly talented but just make you pull your hair out for one reason or another. And so we really work hard to test our people. Now, we don't necessarily have the budgets to hire somebody who's going to cost a fortune because they've got a huge resume. So we go out and we find really talented people who haven't been discovered yet, who've probably worked in the industry, like Shane Klester, who did 4 of these first 6 books. He's worked for IDW, he's worked for Hasbro and Scholastic, but he hasn't really been launched on this kind of a stage yet. He needed the right opportunity, so we're super excited to be introducing him. Same thing with Nathan Luth. He's got some good track record resume pieces, but he hasn't been recognized on a larger scale. He did Overachievement, and we've actually hired both of those gentlemen as full-time staff artists for us now. So it is about finding great talent, but also finding great people who draw well. We also work with comic book scriptwriters. We hire people within the industry to handle the conversion process from this academic text over to the comic book style. You
talking about art. We talked in the first segment about how Chris Anderson, the editor of Wired and the author of The Long Tail, was a comics fan. So Larry Wingett, who's not necessarily a comics fan, but who's got an adaptation in your line, he may not say, oh, I have this artist in mind for this. But Chris Anderson, if he says, yeah, I'd like to have you do this, but I want Jim Lee to draw it. I mean, how do you how do you do with it?
We have yet to come across anything like that. People have been pretty open from the artistic standpoint. I'm sure as the series expands and becomes more popular and other people start to mirror it, we'll have interesting challenges that we have to face like that. And in some cases, maybe it's completely appropriate for us to bring in, a different kind of talent, whether it's just to produce a specific cover or to produce an entire book. there's no doors we can't open here if we have the right kind of project.
So maybe there might be a book where, say, Sergio Aragonés might be appropriate for a certain tone.
It's absolutely possible. It's just relative to what the author's mission is and what's the best approach to getting it out there, certainly in a cost-effective way so that it can be a profitable venture. But we're actually working right now with the former head of development with Jim Henson Productions, a guy named Joseph LaFavi, who's a blast to work with, and we're actually trying to create a Hollywood series of comic books. So he's got all these guys who have contributed to works that he's been involved in. They've launched all the Fraggle Rock, graphic novels and comic books, and so he's got this fantastic stable of artists too. So we're opening up and gaining more access into the comic book world, which is awesome.
Very cool. Well, folks, listen, you can find Roundtable's SmarterComics titles such as The Long Tail, The Art of War, and Shut Up, Stop Whining, and Get a Life at great bookstores everywhere, where you can order them right now at a great price at MrMedia.com. And you can learn more about SmarterComics at their website, SmarterComics.com. Corey, sounds like an interesting project, and we really appreciate you joining us on Mr. Media today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
My pleasure. And folks, for more original interviews with a lot of great comics and graphic novel creators, you can surf over to our main website, MRmedia.com, MrMedia.com. If you've enjoyed today's show, subscribe for free to Mr. Media via email, RSS, or iTunes, and you'll never miss a show. You can also listen, as they do in Chicago, with a piece of string and a tin can in many locations. And show your support of Mr. Media by supporting our sponsors, including Audible. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/radio. Again, that's audibletrial.com/radio for your free audiobook. We're also supported by thepartyauthority.us. Call DJ Ira for all your party entertainment needs nationwide at 1-800-DIAL-DJs or visit their website, thepartyauthority.us. If you've got an idea for a guest, a comment on today's show, or would like to advertise on Mr. Media yourself, email me directly at bob@mrmedia.com. You can also follow Mr. Media on Facebook, Twitter, or our new YouTube video channel. Thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you sharing a piece of your day with Mr. Media. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye, everybody.
Hey, this is America Olivo, and whenever I'm not being terrorized in the movies, such as Friday the 13th or Circle, or terrorizing others, like in Bitch Slaps, I'm avoiding dirty old men like Mr. Media. And if you see him, you should too.